días a todos, ¿cómo estamos? Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So today we are going to continue with what we have been exploring about unwholesome consciousness, Abhidhamma Chittas. I thought we'll do one quiz today together about the last class, so we can as revision, as the summary of last class, so you know what it is about. And this quiz, the purpose of the quiz is not about test, it's not about exam, and it's only about reinforcing the knowledge and all main points that we have already saw last week. So the purpose is to have fun and just to remember what we learned last week. So I prepared some quiz for the last 3 weeks. This is week 3. Last week, grid-rooted consciousness. So it will be like multiple choices. Like the feedback that you did the other day. So here, name is not compulsory. I don't intend to check your answers because the answers, if it's correct or not, the computer will tell you by itself. I already input the answers. So I don't intend to check, but this is optional. If you put it, if there is questions, then later we can follow up. This is the only purpose for the name. So if you like, you can put. If you don't, you don't have to. Okay, so let's do the first question. Mental, verbal, and physical actions that leads to the destruction of ignorance and craving are to be called akusala, unwholesome, kusala, wholesome. Which one? Which one? Kusala. Okay, let's see. Bante, can you pick kusala? Okay. Okay, go ahead and so we go another question. Which kind of mental feeling do loba, mula, citta, great-rooted consciousness associate with multiple answers? Somanasa, pleasant mental feeling?
Yes.
Yes. Domanasa, unpleasant mental feeling? Upeka, neutral mental feeling?
Unpleasant mental feeling.
Okay, so Somanasa? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Bante, please. Domanasa?
No. Yes.
Yes? Somebody? Okay.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Someone said
Yes.
Okay. Upeka?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Later we'll see the answer. Don't worry. Greedy action performed with the idea that karma result does not exist is to be called with DT, wrong view, or without DT. With DT? Okay.
DT? Okay. Okay.
Another question. Unwholesome actions performed without DT, so no wrong view, is worse than those performed with DT with wrong view. Okay.
True.
Yes or no? True or false?
Truth.
How many truths? Raise your hand. 1, 2. How many false?
How many false?
1, 2, 3, 4. So false is.
Okay, let's read the
winning.
question again. Maybe somebody haven't decided yet. Unwholesome actions performed with DT.
Without.
Without
okay.
DT, so no DT is worse than those performed with DT. True or false?
True.
True.
How many true again? How many false? Okay, so
True win?
let's for the moment let's put through and then
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Then
Now,
Okay.
yeah, it's getting a little bit more exciting here. Arrange the order from 1 to 4 according to its strength. Which one is stronger? Okay, first one. Loba Mula Citta, we're talking about that grid-rooted consciousness with pleasant feeling, without DT prompted. We'll see all first, no? With neutral feeling, with DT, so with wrong view, unprompted. With pleasant feeling, with wrong view, unprompted. with neutral feeling, I made mistake, and with neutral feeling without DT prompted. Which one is the strongest and which one is the weakest? We have to.
The third one
I
is
know.
the strongest.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Everybody agree? Okay, so number 1, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, number 2. Which one is the next?
The first one.
This one?
Yep.
Agree, everybody? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Number
Second. Okay.
2. Okay, the third
The
stronger.
second one.
This one with neutral feeling with DT unprompted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the last one, no?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Good. Let's see next. Next question. Loba mula citta, great-rooted consciousness, can be prompted by multiple answers. Another's example, oneself, another's words.
Another's example and another's words.
Everything? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So.
Everything.
Okay. So.
But-
Please. Yes.
Okay.
But oneself.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Now, literal.
Don't worry. When you do by yourself, no need to agree with no one.
Yeah. Just pick whatever you think. The literal translation of
Other
karma.
means.
Action. Okay.
Result.
Result.
Cause.
Somebody. Cause.
Action.
No one. Action. Action.
No results.
Okay. So what is which one is stronger? Prompted, sasankarika, unprompted, asankarika. Which one?
Unprompted. Unprompted.
Unprompted,
That's the
asankarika.
stronger.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Prompted, please.
And then we check.
Yes, submit.
Good.
Okay. So view score. Let's see.
Ding, ding,
Okay,
ding.
we got 8, 11. Not bad. Okay.
8 of
Let's go
11.
a little bit to see the answers. First one. Mental, verbal, and physical actions that lead to the destruction of ignorance and craving are to be called kusala.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, great, no problem. Okay, now here, which kind of mental feeling do loba mula citta, great-rooted consciousness, associated with? Correct answer: somanasa, pleasant mental feeling; upeka, neutral feeling. Let's see why.
We will see.
Back a little bit up. Okay, loba mula citta do not associate with mental displeasure. The citta takes the object to be pleasant or neutral. That's why it wants it. Remember, last week we saw it. So that's why it does not associate with
Dosamūla.
domanasa.
Domanas. Unpleasant. Okay.
Unpleasant feeling, it does not associate with only pleasant feeling or neutral feeling.
Okay.
Okay, so another one. A greedy action performed with the idea that karma result does not exist is to be called. Correct answer? Oh, wait. A greedy action performed with the idea that karma result does not exist. Oh, it is actually with DT. Yes, this is why I'm wrong actually. I need to check it before.
Yeah, that was right.
So this is,
Yeah.
That was right.
this is correct with DT.
Yeah.
Okay. So now unwholesome action performed with DT,
Without.
without DT, no DT, is worse than those performed with DT. False. Why? Because unwholesome action performed with the thought that it is not bad and will not bring bad results, that means with wrong view, is worse and more dangerous, because with this idea one has more possibility to continue performing the unwholesome action.
Yep.
Is that clear? Yes? Okay. Now, correct everything.
Estos todos bien. Bravo, señor. Bravo, bravo. Muy bien.
Okay, so what is the strongest? Usually strongest is with pleasant feeling is stronger than those with neutral feeling. So we can first pick out the one with pleasant feeling. And now the one with pleasant feeling with DT, with wrong view, is stronger than those without wrong view. So then we can check the next one with or without DT. Then the third aspect, prompted or unprompted, then unprompted simultaneous is stronger than prompted. So that's why in these three aspects we can check which one is stronger. Yes, first pleasant feeling is stronger than neutral feeling, no doubt. Then with DT, between the two with pleasant feeling, with wrong view is stronger than without wrong view, because he understands that there will be bad result. Yes, the other thing that it's okay, I can do whatever I want. That means with wrong view. Yes, this is without. Yeah, this is with. Okay. So then unprompted simultaneous. Nobody told him to do so. Is stronger than if somebody encouraged him. So like this, and neutral feeling in the same way. And this one we got perfect. Bravo. And so we can go another question.
Okay.
And this one same. That we were just talking about prompted, unprompted. by another's example, by oneself, and another's way. All three can be possibility. Okay, so perfect.
Good.
Then literal translation is action. Again,
Yes.
perfect. Very good. Then which one is stronger? Unprompted. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, well done everybody. So this is what the quiz is about. And so I will send it. It is not compulsory, but it is encouraged because then you can think a little bit about content of last week. So yeah, I'll send to everybody. If you really don't want to receive it, just send me a message and say, please don't send me the quiz. Otherwise, I'll send everybody. Okay. Now, we already did a revision, and then we will go just slowly to see where we are. Last week we were talking about unwholesome consciousness, akusala citta, which is divided into three groups according to its root. Wait, what is this? Dosamūla citta in English. Greed-rooted consciousness.
Rooted consciousness.
Good.
When
And
we
this one?
think with love, when we think with greed, when we think with anger, or when we are
when we act, when we
act.
think, act, and
And speak.
mental, verbal, and physical actions with this characteristic. Okay, what is this one? Dosamūla citta. Hatred-rooted consciousness or aversion-rooted consciousness. And this one?
Moha.
Moha mula citta, delusion, rooted consciousness. So three types. And last week we saw lobha mula citta, rooted consciousness with its different aspects. First with the mental feeling, only which one?
Pleasant
Pleasant.
and natural.
Pleasant and neutral
Yes.
feeling.
The pleasant feeling and neutral feeling only associate with pleasant and neutral feeling. It does not associate with unpleasant mental feeling. Okay, then another aspect, what is this?
With wrong view.
With wrong view, thinking that it's okay to do wrong, doing wrong is not bad, and no result is going to happen. So with or without wrong view. And then prompted or unprompted. So encouraged by oneself, example of others, words of others, or not prompted by anybody simultaneously. One decided to do so. And there are 8 kinds of greed-rooted consciousness. We already saw this. So this was what we saw last week. And now, today we are going to continue with dosamūla citta, aversion or hatred-rooted consciousness. So we saw 8 already. Today we will continue with the other ones. Yes?
So could you remind the cittas? The unit of consciousness. So just to have everybody on the same page, a unit of consciousness is what happens when we are experiencing a thought. Now we are exploring when our minds, let's remember that this is talking about us. This is our mind, how it works, and we are just looking it through the microscope. So whenever we feel desire, we are having at that moment cittas or mental units. The mind is all divided into units, small ones, mental units filled with ingredients of greed. Then when we get angry, we are just talking when we feel desire, when we are getting angry, or when we are experiencing ignorance. So actually it's our mind doing these things. Whenever the consciousness is filled with ingredients of greed, then lobha mula citta. Mula, just to remind, means root. It's rooted in greed. Then when we get angry, when every time we feel impatient, or exasperated, or sad, these units of consciousness are appearing, and we will see one by one. So just to have a general.
Thank you, Bhante. So today we are going to look at hatred-rooted consciousness, dosamūla citta, and just like the lobha mula citta, greed-rooted consciousness, we will first look into the different aspects of the hatred-rooted consciousness. So with this, we have 3 aspects. First, the same as greed-rooted consciousness, we first have mental feeling, vedana, and then another aspect is aversion or anger itself, because it is about dosa, no? This kind of consciousness that we are talking about is about aversion and anger. So aversion and anger itself. And another aspect is prompted and unprompted, same like the other type of consciousness, and greed-rooted consciousness. So first, let's look into the mental feeling. Until here, are we okay, everybody? Yes? Yes? Yes. Okay. So mental feeling. Now, have you ever been angry very happily? Like very pleasantly angry? or neutrally angry? No, when you're angry, we're very angry, no? So, angry always associate with domanassa and mental displeasure. It never associates with pleasant feeling nor neutral feeling. Yes?
What about like when you take revenge and like this kind of a
Now you're happy about
evil?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Actually, we will come to that today, but just in advance, they are different minds. Those ones that are happy about the wrongdoing is actually they are loba mula cittas. They are greed-rooted consciousness, and then some other. When he is actually doing bad to the other or harming other, in that moment, those are dosamūla, hatred-rooted consciousness. So they happen like quickly in different times, but they do not mix together.
They are happy that they are getting what they wanted.
Okay.
That was to harm the other one. So when they are angry, the thought arises the desire to harm the other one. So whenever the action is loba, they want to do him wrong. That's why if they manage to accomplish it, then they feel elated and happy because of it.
Yeah.
But actually, it was loba.
Those are loba, and during the actual harming, that's definitely
The
dosa.
Fueled by
By
dosa.
loba.
But
Fueled by
they were angry, they want to harm the other one, then they do the loba action very quickly, and then they can get
The
angry
actual
again. So
action.
the actual action it was dosa, the harming.
Okay, so we are never happily, pleasantly angry or neutrally angry, so these two can disappear. And with hatred-rooted consciousness, the only mental feeling that is associated with is domanassa, mental displeasure, unpleasant mental feeling. Okay, so now let's take a little bit look in more details about domanassa, mental displeasure or mental pain. Domanassa, last week we also mentioned about this. Domanassa, these Pali words come from do and mana. Do means bad, mana is synonym with mind, consciousness, citta, vijnana, mana, citta. So all these words in the previous class we saw that synonymous. So domanassa, bad mind, having unpleasant mental feeling. And unpleasant mental feeling, domanassa, is important to remember that it only associates with akusala, only associates with unwholesome consciousness, with unwholesome. There is no wholesome consciousness with unpleasant feeling. So whenever there is unpleasant mental feeling, it's always akusala, and specifically dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness. Okay, so mental displeasure and mental pain, we already saw it only associates with akusala, unwholesome consciousness. While mental pleasure, somanassa, and mental neutrality, upekkha, they can associate with kusala, wholesome consciousness, or akusala, unwholesome consciousness, or neither kusala nor akusala consciousness. Okay, so kusala, wholesome consciousness, that means when we are performing good, like when we are doing good deeds, mental, verbal, and action, and physical action, good deeds. When we're doing good deeds, we can also feel good about it. Yes, we're happily doing something good, being generous, or being loving, or studying, or whatever. We can be happily doing this, or we can do it with a neutral feeling. I can do good, but I don't especially feel good about it. I feel happy feeling about it, but with a neutral feeling, it is also possible. So with kusala, it is possible, but it is not possible to be very unpleasant to do good. Of course, there are also possibility, like the person that he asked me to do something I really don't want to, but okay, I'll do it. Like also, it is possible. It looks like I'm angry about doing good, but it is different moment. He's angry and he don't want to, but in the moment when he's really doing good, because we're looking at microscopic, we have to remember that consciousness, while he's doing the good, only associate with, in this case, probably neutral, and could be pleasant or neutral, most probably neutral in this case, yes? So with wholesome consciousness, it is possible. somnasa, mental pleasant feeling, or mental neutral feeling. Upeka. Akusala also, as we saw already, they associate with dosamūla cittas. Yes, associate with great-rooted consciousness, like you happily doing bad, happily wanting to steal something, or neutrally wanting something. With lova, it is possible, so it also associates with akusala, these two kinds of mental feeling. And now, neither kusala nor akusala. So there are some kinds of consciousness that are neither wholesome nor unwholesome. So now what are they? Now we have to take a little bit look into it before we continue. Neither wholesome nor unwholesome. Cittas are divided into 4 classes according to its nature. So let's see what 4 kind of cittas. First, akusala and kusala. Previously, we already saw unwholesome and wholesome actions. 3 types of actions are like planting seeds. Yes, they are actions that we are doing. So they are causes. We're planting seeds, and this is karma. It's a cause. They generate results. Yes. So these 2 types is called is karma, and it's like planting seeds. Another type of consciousness is called vipaka. If there are seeds, there are fruits. Yes. So this kind of consciousness are result of the wholesome or unwholesome actions that we do. It can be good fruits, beautiful fruits from wholesome consciousness, wholesome cause, wholesome beautiful result, or bad fruits from unwholesome consciousness. Yes. So So these kind of resulting consciousness, they are not planting seeds and they are not karma, but result of karma. And so they are not neither kusala nor akusala because they are resultant. They are called vipaka, resultant. That's why there are some kinds of consciousness that are neither akusala nor kusala because they are not planting seeds, they are not actions, they are the result of the actions. Is that clear?
It's also citta.
Yes, also citta, another kind of consciousness. Yes? Yes, Patrick.
What we generally refer as good karma or bad karma, actually we are talking about fruits. We generally tell to someone, oh, you have good karma or you have bad karma. So that means that something we planted in the past, we generally don't consider karma when we are planting the seed. Generally, what we understand is the fruit that we are receiving, either good karma or bad karma. Now we need to make the connection that this good karma, sweet fruits, will not come from a bitter seed. Never. Bitter fruits will never come from a sweet seed. So actually, karma, being technical, now for example, on Wednesday class, we don't get onto this detail because we are talking a little bit more general because of the nature of the group. But now, from now on, we need to have very clear that karma, what is the meaning of karma? Literally? Action. So when we do action, how many kinds of actions do we perform as human beings? Mental action. We have a mental action. We are thinking about something. We have verbal action. This thinking became words. So now it's not only inside of our heads. Once we put a word out, it's on the world. Everybody can listen what our mind has. Be it good, be it bad. Yes? And also, when we have a thought, we don't say nothing and we do an action. We help somebody or we harm somebody. So actually at that moment, that is called karma, action, 3 kinds of actions. We are planting seeds. We need to start bringing this when we are experimenting the fruits from our previous actions, be it good, be it bad. Actually, this is called technically vipaka. It's a mental unit that it is the fruit of what we planted before. All the habits that we were before will give us sweetness inside, will make us happiness, or will bring us suffering, depending on the nature that is here. So I think it's clear. From now on, we will call about actually when someone tells you, oh, you have good karma or bad karma. Technically, they will tell, oh, you have bad kusala vipaka, or you have bad akusala vipaka, so means the fruit of the seed or bad seed, or you have very good kusala vipaka. You have very good fruits from your good seeds, from the good seeds that you planted in the past.
Yes, thank you, Bante. It is important to understand this term in general because when we are talking in Abhidhamma, remember we are always talking about details. We are always talking about microscopic. When we say Abhidhamma, okay, put your microscopic glasses on. Yes. So we are talking about details. But sometimes you may see in suttas or other Dhamma talks that you talk about karma in a general sense, which include both cause and effect. Because karma is cause and effect. There can be no cause without effect or no effect without cause. So that's why in general terms, in many Dhamma talks or books you may read, then only karma includes, as we understood, both the cause and the result. Yes? And also, since we are talking about this, I'll give you another example of another thing that we have to be careful when we read some other Dhamma talks or other books. When we read about citta, you remember that citta cannot arise alone. It always arises with what? With citta, with mental factors. Consciousness always arises together with mental factors. There is no empty consciousness without mental factors, and there cannot be mental factors without the container, without citta, without consciousness. So they always arise together. Now, since we are talking about consciousness and mental factors in Abhidhamma, again we have to put on the microscopic glasses, so we are dividing them. Although they are together, always together, we are separating them to see the different characteristic of each thing. Yes, but they are always together. So in general terms, in other Dhamma talks, then when we talk about citta, we have to understand that in some cases it means citta and cittasika both. Only saying citta, but it means already citta with cittasikas, without specifically naming it. Yes, so this is another term that we need to be careful, saying like karma, cause and effect both included in one word. Citta also, most of the time, include both citta and cittasika.
Cause.
Cause and, yeah? Okay, yes.
I have a question regarding the kusala and akusala terms regarded to the impurities like lobha, because if it's lobha, how can be wholesome?
It cannot be wholesome.
Never.
Never?
Never.
Okay.
Lobha is never wholesome.
Yeah.
Even the smallest desire we have, it's already generating agitation in the mind, and the mind it's contaminated by it.
Okay.
Never.
It's always unwholesome.
Always
Yes.
unwholesome.
So that's why now we are talking about different kinds of cittas, different kinds of consciousness. Then we have the lobha group and the dosa group, and later will come the moha group. And when we finish these three, we will go to the beautiful ones, and so we will have other groups, and they don't mix together. And then the unwholesome ones, they are always unwholesome. They never sometimes become wholesome. And also the cittasikas, we have seen in Wednesday, previous 2 years, and they also have categories. There are unwholesome consciousness, which are always unwholesome, just like lobha, greed, dosa, aversion, and moha, delusion. They can never be wholesome because they are unwholesome consciousness. And there are wholesome consciousness like panya, wisdom, and for example, metta, loving kindness. They are always good and beautiful consciousness, and they never associate, and they never can be unwholesome. Yes.
Fire can never be cool.
Yeah.
Can never
They're
be fresh.
always
Oh,
hot.
let's get some fire. Oh, so it will always burn. So in the mental
Yes,
states,
characteristic.
always, whenever in mental ingredient is hot, it's gonna be hot. It can never be cool, and neither the one that is fresh. Water in this case will change its quality for the other one.
Okay, so now we see that there are akusala, unwholesome consciousness, kusala, wholesome consciousness, like planting seeds, and its result, vipaka consciousness, resultant, and there is still another kind of consciousness. This is called kriya, functional consciousness. They are neither seeds nor fruits. So this kind of consciousness, they are consciousness that perform an action, and that's it. It arises, performs its action, and it passes away, and that's it. It does not plant seeds. So it does not plant seeds, and it is not result as well.
For example?
For example, later we will come to it.
Okay.
It's like there are quite many. For example, the most easy understanding ones are those when a person he become enlightened, totally enlightened, an arahant. When he do an action, surely it will be a good action. No, he will not do anything bad because all the bad roots are being uprooted. So when he do a good action, but because there is no more conditions for him to plant seeds, because he has uprooted all kinds of ignorance and all kinds of of greed. So even the action, if he does, is good. He does not plant any seed anymore. That's why he does not born again when he passed away from that life, because there is no more condition, no more seeds for him to generate a new life. So those good actions of an totally enlightened person is one kind of kriya consciousness when he performs good actions. Actually, it's very similar to wholesome consciousness, what he does and the quality, but it does not plant seeds anymore. So those are called functional consciousness. And why does well, we will have to go into paticcasamuppada, which is the conditional relations. Conditional relations, not English. Conditional relations to understand exactly.
Why?
But now we are not here yet. In chapter 8, we will go there.
But there is another example that we can bring down to earth. For example, the attention of the mind. Let's say I'm a mind. I am a mind. Then there is attention. So there is a sound there. So then the mind turns there. The object is there. The mind can like it or dislike it. Then he will plant. If the mind dislikes the object, it will plant unwholesome seed, bad seed. If the mind likes the object and is good at feeling good about it or experiencing goodness with it, it will plant a bad seed. But a moment the mind is not only on when it is active. It has also so many small.
There are active minds and not passive minds.
There is like a passive mind. The fact of here we go to kriya. The mind turning is not yet kusala or akusala yet. It's just a function. It's turning. Then it touches the object of the image of the Buddha. Then goodness arises in the mind. Or he sees a bad enemy or something, and then bad arises. Then the mind is active. But the fact is function. It's just all this moment that the consciousness is on is turning. Is doing no kusala nor akusala. That's why Charana was saying is neither fruit. Or seed. So the mind is just turning, doing nothing. Then sees the Buddha, goodness arises in the mind. Now it's active and now it starts to plant seed. So that's kind of the way that, and there are many kinds of functions that our mind does in order to touch, to reach for objects, visual objects. For example, if I close the eyes, there is no information, but then the function of opening the eyes is gone, then the contact with the object, and then the mind is active. Oh, I know where am I, who is there, etc., etc.
Yes, okay. And this kind of consciousness will also come there. When we finish kusala, we'll go to kusala, and we'll go to vipaka, and we'll go to kriya. So we'll go in detail. So we will later on reach the section about that in details. Okay, so now we only have to know that it exists some kind of cittas that is neither kusala nor akusala. So that means they are not causes, they don't plant seeds, they are either results or they are functional consciousness. So up till here, for today, that's good enough. We understand that there are some kinds of different consciousness because we are talking about mental feeling. Yes, remember, let's go back a little bit. So we were talking about mental pain or mental displeasure. Unpleasant mental feeling can only associate with unwholesome consciousness, akusala specifically with dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness. Yes? Okay? Okay. Oui, monsieur. Okay. And so, now, then, somanasa, pleasant mental feeling, and upekkha, mental neutrality, they can associate with everything. They can associate with akusala, like in greed-rooted consciousness. They can associate with wholesome. Of course, one can perform a wholesome action with happy feeling. No, then vipaka also associates some kinds, not all, associate with both of them, and kriya also can associate with that. Because mental feeling is a universal cetasika, vedana is a universal cetasika. That means all kinds of citta, whatever it may be, it always associates with some kind of another of mental feeling.
It always has mental.
It always has a mental, is associated with it. There is no citta without mental feeling, because it is universal. So all cittas have mental feeling, being whichever kind of it is.
Every time we are thinking, we are feeling something. We either is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Whenever we see someone, whenever we face any situation, every movement that the mind does is feeling pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Pleasant doesn't mean liking. Liking
It's
is
different,
already
it's different.
greed, loba. I like it and I want more.
Associated
Let's be
with
clear,
good
this
feeling.
unpleasant is just unpleasant. You feel pain.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that the mind should be pushing the pain away or be angry about it.
Okay.
A mind can be peaceful, experiencing unpleasant sensation. For example,
Yes.
yeah,
yes.
it may not have greed or aversion towards the unpleasantness.
Yes.
So there is where in practice we are starting to have hope, because if we train our minds, we can experience the unpleasantness of life. For example, sickness or a bad situation that happens in our life, or old age or loss. If our mind is trained and doesn't fall into greed or anger, the mind is peaceful, even with unpleasantness. So these kind of sensations, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, is universal every time the mind is thinking about something.
Yes. Be careful of this point that we just mentioned, that domanassa, this unpleasant mental feeling, only associated with akusala. Yes. So what Bante is saying now, when we experience some kind of pain or something, this is not domanassa, it is dukkha. It is bodily pain, because there is no good mental consciousness that can associate with domanassa, because domanassa is anger. It is unpleasant mental feeling. Why is it is angry and it doesn't like it? It has aversion towards it. That's why the mind is not at peace. It's painful mental feeling. So when Bante said, when we experience pain but the mind is peaceful, in those cases it is actually the body is feeling dukkha. It is another feeling. It is not mental feeling. It's physical feeling. Dukkha. It's feeling physical pain, but the mind is probably in kusala. It could be upekkha. Yes. Equanimity. It's feeling painful, but it's not reacting with aversion towards it. So domanassa does not arise in those moments. Unpleasant mental feeling does not arise, although the body is painful, but the mind is not unpleasant. Is that clear? Yes? Okay, so that's important. Okay, so now just general. Unpleasant mental feeling only associate with dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness, while the other two mental feeling can associate with all kinds of different consciousness, and every consciousness must have some kind of feeling. Yes, either of these three, some kind of feeling always have. Okay, so now we finished the first aspect of hatred-rooted consciousness about feeling, domanassa, mental displeasure. We finished with the first aspect. Then let's go into the next one, aversion and anger itself. Aversion and anger concerning the dosamūla citta, concerning the hatred-rooted consciousness, the Pali word being used in this kind of consciousness is called patika sampayutta. Sampayutta, last week we already saw it, is associated with patika. Patika is synonym to dosa, aversion, anger or aversion. So patika is just don't worry, you don't have to remember it, don't have to memorize it, it's just for your information. If you see this word, it comes in the name of the citta. Patika just means dosa, it's the same as dosa. Okay, so means aversion and anger, they are the same. Just like loba, greed, from very subtle level to very gross level, whatever kind of mental or whatever kind of aversion or hatred that one has, in all the spectrum from subtle to gross, is considered aversion, dosa here. Such as just a little bit dislike, boredom, uneasiness, annoyance, irritation, resentment, disgust, repulsion, hostility, detestation, fear, hatred, anger, ferocity, rage. So from the very tiny little irritation to the very very gross anger or rage or ferocity, all these are included in the spectrum of dosa, of aversion. So when we talk about this kind of mental consciousness, hatred-rooted consciousness, it can be everything from this to that, or this. Yes.
So you mentioned that sadness should be there too.
Sadness.
that-
What? Yes.
Yes.
but
Yes.
whether-
This is just a few examples.
Okay.
It has now it is coming a lot of examples.
Okay.
Yeah, but your
Sadness-
question is why sadness is there? Or
Is sadness there?
I mean, yeah, it is right, but
Yes.
I don't really get why there.
Why?
Or like
Because
It's not
sadness. Because sadness is when one is sad.
Mhm.
Is because something he doesn't like.
something
So he wants
happened.
it to be different.
Okay.
Something that happened that it was not according how I wish.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then
That's why
I
it's
didn't
sad.
wish. For example, somebody died. The person gets sad because he wished that person was alive, or he wished or she wished she or he didn't die.
Or
So
he
there is-
cannot
there is-
accept.
He cannot accept the thing. That's why, like for example, you can see immediately with a child, he wants something, you don't give to him, and then there is aversion, and from sadness very quickly can go to anger, because they are from the same. So aversion to whatever happened, then we feel depressed, we feel down, and then fear and sadness is from the family of aversion. I don't like what happened. That's why my reaction is suffering.
Yeah.
I can't accept. Yeah.
Yeah, there can be hundreds of manifestation
Mm.
of different kinds of from subtle to gross aversion, but the category mostly is lova. Greed is I want something, and the aversion is when I don't want something. So as just like Bhante says, sadness or fear or even boredom, even bored. Why is it anger? No, actually bored is also because something he is not satisfied about the moment. He wanted to be more exciting, or he wanted to be different, and he doesn't accept the moment how it is in the moment because I don't like it. So that's why it is in the family of aversion, dosa. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's continue. So there is many kind of different of manifestation. These slides actually we used it in the Wednesday class when we talked about aversion. So there are many different kinds of manifestation. This is usually how we understand as anger, annoyance, hatred, fury, and rage. Yes, we can agree that all this is manifestation of aversion, dosa, right? So and there are actually more than this, and we will take a look. We just look, and I won't say too much because the pictures say everything.
One of the characteristics that the Buddha mentioned, that the first thing that anger takes away from us is our beauty. And you can see it from, for example, these little girls. I mean, obviously they are quite pretty, but whenever anger arises, this way, showing the teeth, all that, the Buddha describes all the things that anger takes away, and this is clear. I mean, you can see it. It looks a little bit like Chucky, or something like man, and she's very beautiful. But whenever anger, and that happens to all of us, whenever anger arises, my dear family, the first thing I think very seldom, only making experiments in the monastery, I got angry and went quickly to see in the mirror. Then if we see our face when we get angry and when we say something like that, we will feel scared and then start trying to change the bad habits. But you will see later, hopefully we have the time, or in Wednesday, we can explain all the things that anger takes away. It takes the health, it takes, the first one is beauty, and you can, every time I see these pictures, it's like, wow, man, the Buddha was truly right. So,
Okay, so want to see some more ugly faces?
sorry for the bad image.
Showtime.
Here we go, sad. Wow. All the manifestations of anger, aversion,
Here.
fear.
And
I
you can
don't
see
like-
all of these associate with mental displeasure and mental pain. You can see that you cannot see like they are not happy, right? In dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness, it's always associated. That's why it's only associated with mental pain, mental displeasure.
And you can see the expression on the forehead is very similar in most of them. So it's just different levels of aversion. From this one, which is very mean. What was that? Judgment, disdain, depression.
Wow.
Big menu, big menu.
Some more.
And if we had aversion to those
That's already happening.
version
Yeah,
also.
that's that of course. Yeah. That's already acting, but this one is fake because it's just pixels on the movie. The other one is more important
It's
because
real.
actually happening inside of us,
Mm.
and it's planting bad seeds right now.
Wow.
So all these different manifestations of the spectrum from subtle to gross aversion, hatred.
And generally, for example, when we see boredom, like this little girl, we will actually kind of give gifts to the kid. Don't be bored, do something. But actually, the little match is already on. And we should take the children away instead of giving a prize, okay, don't be bored. But boredom already, I don't like what is happening. There is some kind of aversion, but the flame is very small. And you know, when we are bored in the dentist office, from boredom, like, what time is he going to open or something? Anger is already there because it was very small, and we take for granted, and we even can give gifts to the children, like celebrating their anger, but actually we are doing wrong. That's why the Buddha invites us constantly to check and very carefully look the nature of the mental ingredients that we are experiencing, because we might be fostering, we might be feeding something that will harm us. We will harm our own children because we are celebrating to him, okay, don't be bored, here is the iPad, here is the iPhone, and then more akusala coming. And so it's kind of tricky. We must know what is good, what ingredients are good, what ingredients are bad, and make right choices in the moment. Stop the negativity, even when it is very small, and be able to recognize them. That's why we are doing this study. It really pertains to our life. This is us. We have, I can assure you, with a big percentage, that we at some moment in our lives have experienced all of them. At any moment, maybe not as strong as we are seeing them, but we have experienced all of them, and we experience it maybe today, and we will experience the potentiality is in still. So we need to be careful what we are planting, because that is going to be the kind of fruit that we will unavoidably get.
Yeah. Okay. So dosa. All of this is aversion. Now, why? Why do we get angry? Why does anger? Why anger arises in our mind? Why anger happens? And the Buddha gave us some reasons, actually. I think this is quite easy to understand as well. When we want something and we don't get it, we get angry. Yes, according to our experience, we can know very clearly. It's because we want something, and when we want something, we don't get it, then the mind gets angry. So anger is also motivated by greed. Because when we are angry, we don't want something, but we want something else. Yes, they do not happen in the same moment, but because there is actually something that we wanted that did not happen, that's why dosa arises. Yes.
To give a more close example, someone talked to us wrongly, insult us. So first, one thing, we don't like him to talk to me. For example, I have attachment to my own self, my ego, image, whatever. I don't want him to talk to me like this, and I wish he talked to me respectfully or kindly or something. So one thing has two poles. It has immediately, I don't want this because I want something different. That's where the expectation, we have them unconscious. We have a lot of expectations how we think people should treat us. And if doesn't happen, immediately we come to the defense. Why you talk to me like this or something like this? So there is always some liking and some disliking. But remember that the word like, I like something and I don't like something, the word that is common is liking. That's why the Buddha always said that the source of suffering is desire. Whenever we have desire for the things to go in my way and it doesn't happen, generally if the mind is not trained, anger will come and we will start fighting and suffering unavoidably, burning inside.
Yes. First, it tries to get what it wants in a nice way, like very smiley, and a few more tries to get it. When it doesn't get it, it has to change his strategy, and he becomes angry. So Lova doesn't get what he wants, now dosa attacks. And so dosa arises. This is one of the reasons why dosa can arise. Dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness can arise. And there is actually other reasons also. The Buddha explained in both the Dhammapada and the Vibhanga, second book of the Abhidhamma, that when a person thinks he has done me harm in the past, he is doing me harm now, and he will do me harm in the future. When a person thinks this way, anger arises. When a person thinks somebody else, he had done me harm, like he did me bad before, that's why I'm angry with him, yes? Or he's doing me harm now, and I don't like it, and that's why I'm angry now. Or he might do me harm, and he will do me harm in the future, that's why I get angry. So this is one of the way, like when one thinks this way, then anger could arise. And there's another way of thinking. When the person thinks he has done in the past, he is doing in the present, or he will do harm to one dear to me or pleasant to me.
My son,
Like my friend,
daughter.
my family. So this
My
guy
thing.
is going to do harm to my family. He's doing to harm to my friend. He's going to do harm to something I like. Then I get angry. He has done, or he's doing, or he will do something that I like.
He or she.
Or she, well, any. Yeah. So if a person thinks this way, also it could anger arises. Anger arises. Okay, there is another set of thoughts. Then he has done in the past, he is doing in the present, and he will do good to one not dear to me and unpleasant to me. Or say so that means he's doing good to my enemy. I don't like it.
I don't like you do good to my enemy.
Or he has done good, or he is doing good, or he will do good to my enemy, so I don't like it, and anger will arises.
So you see
So-
how...
So thus hatred arises, or hatred arises unreasonably. So it could be just imagination. It could be unreasonable. The Buddha explained already. So reasonable or unreasonable, if one thinks this way, anger arises. Those will arise. Those aversion will arise.
How do you see the way the Buddha explained with detail the possibilities why anger? How do you feel about it? Someone who wishes to comment, what do you see?
Most of the suffering comes from those kinds of
Isn't it?
thoughts.
Isn't it? The thought, one thought of these three kinds is on the mind, for sure anger or rumination. Rumination is going to voice, well, next time I see her, I will tell her this and this and this and this and this. And all this is happening in our mind. There is nothing actually, many of the times, happening in reality. So,
So unreasonable ones also, because might not be true. But even if the person is not doing us any harm, but if I think that he will do me harm, no, yeah, anger already.
and imagine when our perception is wrong.
Yeah.
The person is trying to act out of goodness, but we cannot catch why. And then he's trying to do us good, but inside I feel, oh, he wants to do me bad. Then paranoia arises. Is the source of paranoia. Then more suffering, and more misunderstanding, more fighting, more defending. It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Yes.
Is there some possibilities of being angered without relationship with desire?
With desire,
Yeah.
maybe these ones. Like he's doing me. Well, actually, I don't think so. Because he's doing me harm. I wish he don't do me harm. So
So
I
you-
think it is not possible.
It's not possible. And how is the relationship between anger and aggressiveness?
Anger, the more manifestation, the grosser manifestation of anger is violence.
The more.
It starts
Grosser manifestation.
like any action starts in the mind. If the mind is enough and it's exploding,
Then it shouts.
then it shouts something first. Hey, you don't do so. If the shouting was not enough, it's just a matter, the difference between anger and you say, anger and
Violence.
Violence or aggressiveness?
or aggressiveness is just the level, how much there is in. So if the mind was not enough, then I say so, or someone says something. If the same was not enough, then the action comes and then, but all of them wants to destroy. Since the very beginning, it is polluted by anger. The mind is thinking bad words, is wishing bad to the other person. Then if it's not enough, says it, and if it is not, goes and do it, or tells someone to do it. That's why we have prompted and unprompted. So many people may have this ill will, but he won't dare to do it, and he might even, I mean, it's really horrible, but he might even pay someone else to go and harm the other one. But actually,
But the
As-
seeds planted is the same.
Yeah, the seed planted is
The one
the
who
same.
did it or the
Like-
one who ordered someone to
Like
do
in
it.
Spanish we said, tanto peca el que mata la vaca como
Como
el
el
que
que
le
le
sostiene
jala
la
la
pata. That is true for karma. Remember that karma, the most important action is the mental one. Once we curse, once we wish bad for someone in the mind, even no one around listen to us, the seed is planted. The consequences are going to be paid. Because nature, whatever seeds comes into the ground, if the ground is fertile, every seed will come up and will unavoidably give fruits, even if we ask, please, please don't give me fruits.
Not
The
possible.
mango is gonna give mangoes because that is his nature. Yes.
And how can you avoid that?
Not
Not
planting the
planting
seed.
Yeah, but like, for example, when
the seed
something
by
is
waiting.
happening,
Yes.
how can you avoid like letting go of that thought? Because it's really fast.
Mental training. We need to have some. First of the thing, as we know, is awareness. We know that before the mind gets on, you remember that I get a match. I get a match. I see the flame and the flame burns and can burn anything around. But for the flame to burn something, I needed to pick up the matchbox, I needed to open it, take a match, and do this action, then the flame is on. If our awareness is very dull and blind, it will only say, fire, fire, fire! Who's turns on the fire?
When the
When
whole
does it
sofa
happen?
is burning, then we will
When the whole
realize.
house, and then the master, the Buddha will say, didn't you realize when you pick up the match, when you took the match, and when you did like this? Because if our awareness is very kind of not have very good
Not
eyesight,
sharp, yes.
not sharp enough, we don't see that before getting anger, there is a decision to make anger. The mind makes a calculation. Oh, this person is doing me wrong. If at that moment we can bring a little bit of wisdom and says, oh, wait,
Is it
we
true,
could wait.
This kind of thought, examine it.
Yes.
Then maybe it's one of those.
Where am I going to end up? Have I get angry before? Yes. Is it pleasant or unpleasant? Unpleasant. Beneficial or unbeneficial? Unbeneficial. If there is some awareness and wisdom there, this, as we may feel right now like impossible, it will be stopped when we have at some moment we may catch ourselves like, hey, oi,
What am I doing
wait,
with this?
why do I have the matches in the hand? Yeah, that's when we need to put the alarm should come when I have the matches in the hand, not when the fire is there. So we need to increase our ability to catch what the mind is saying, all the calculations it is doing, and listen much before getting the matchbox. And it is so the teacher says, and it does change with time. Anger can start decreasing. It will not disappear immediately, but the things that used to make us angry before, it won't be enough anymore. It needs to be a very big thing to get angry, and it will be decreasing. Unfortunately, when we reach closer to enlightenment or to mental purity, the first one to go is anger. So it's the grossest. From the mental impurities, anger is the cheapest. La más chafita is anger, because it is the one that immediately makes us tense and immediately makes violence.
Yeah.
We need to be more careful from desire, because desire goes like this, like humidity. Yeah.
¿Puedo presentar en español?
Yes, and we translate. Yes.
Cuando yo estoy hablando con una persona
Yes.
que me está haciendo enojar,
Yeah.
yo me estoy dando cuenta que me está haciendo enojar y me enojo,
Yes.
pero logro darme cuenta que me enojo y no respondo a sus provocaciones, pero me enojé. De todos modos hay semillas ahí plantadas porque es mental. O sea, aunque logre controlar el enojo, aunque lo deje pasar. ¿sí?
So I translate the question.
Okay.
So she was asking, like, when she was talking with someone, then the other person is saying something, and she feels that she is getting angry, but she does, because she is aware that she is angry, so that's why she does not reply to her provocation of the situation, but she's still angry, although she didn't say anything.
Yeah. You want? Wait.
Go ahead.
So you remember we said there are three kinds of action: mental, mental, verbal, and physical. You are holding two. So you are not saying nothing and you are not doing nothing. You wish maybe the mind is saying, but then you are not doing it. You say very politely and even smiling, and then you are not saying nothing. But the mental action, which is the most important one, is planting seeds.
But it's
Definitely.
not so bad because you
It's-
didn't do the other two, and it is good already.
It is good. It is good.
It's very good.
And it is good because there is anger and awareness. Anger, awareness, anger. I still angry, but I know that I'm angry. So in the microscope of the mind, there is kusala, akusala, kusala, kusala. No, shouldn't do. I go, why? But I want to kill him. Oh no, don't do it. So the mind is fighting. So as there is the saying, there are some wolves inside of us. There are some. I don't. Have you read this? There are the wolf of anger and the wolf of goodness. I don't know how it goes. So the child asked to the Native American chief and says, and which wolf will win? The goodness win, the goodness wolf or the ill will wolf? And the teacher says, the one that you feed the most, the one that is stronger. So yes, the seed will be planted mentally.
And actually, it is very good because of awareness. That's why the whole mind is not being overwhelmed by anger because you know it. So that's why you don't say things, or that's why you don't do more actions because of anger, because the mind knows it. So let's say there is 100%. Now we're not talking about Abhidhamma, we're talking about experience, because now we cannot say like one citta because it's tiny. We're talking about practice experience. So let's say the mind, 100% of the mind, if you don't even have awareness, then 100% of the mind is angry. So it can probably do many things. It can probably shout, or it can hit, or it can do whatever. But if some part of the mind, say 30% of the mind, is aware, so only 70% is angry. So he can control, and he does not act, or he does not shout. So if we can make more, like 50%, or grow more the awareness, then the anger has less percentage, and it
Less
cannot
space.
overwhelm us. So it's like this, and then bring in awareness, bring in wisdom, then anger cannot overwhelm us.
Now, what is the next step in terms of practice? Okay, I already didn't shout. I already didn't hit. That's the process. I didn't hit. Okay, I didn't shout. 2. Now we can focus on the suffering that I'm inflicting on myself because I'm falling of anger. Now we put
Burning ourselves.
So I'm burning myself. Okay, I didn't make the situation worse because I'm sure that person is teasing, and I don't react. I'm already making the social situation better. Now I need to turn the radar, turn the antenna towards myself. How much am I harming because I cannot let go of attachment to my idea against his or her idea, whatever it is? So we start inside releasing and saying, it's not fair that I do this to myself. I'm already good. I'm quite good, not retaliating, not fighting back. So now we start taking care of ourselves, and then because of that understanding, the awareness that is already there, which is something to congratulate. The awareness is already there. Now we need more wisdom and detachments to say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it is hurting me, and then we start releasing, and then eventually the mind will have a new avenue and won't use that avenue anymore. It is possible because our minds are flexible. The brain is physically, it has plasticity, it can change. So,
Puede llegar el momento en que no haya enojo tal.
yes,
Cuando
definitely.
logramos
Definitely. And mostly when we took the root out, even if we want to get angry, not possible because there is no more root. The tree of anger is not there anymore. So they say the teachers. And
it
so,
will get
the-
diminished.
Diminished. There was
So the strength of the kamic seed isn't also the same. Like if it's just a mental seed, or is it
yes.
physical an action?
No, it is. It depends on the intensity, but the Buddha says that the most important thing is the mind, because from the mind makes words, and the mind makes actions. So actually, the one that we should be more responsible for are the mental.
Yeah, but they are not stronger. Like if you hit the person, is worse.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we just
There is
thought
a
about
question
it a
here.
little bit less.
There is a question.
Sorry. Yes.
You said that the quality of the anger, it wasn't neutral. It can be
Cannot
neutral,
be.
No, no.
cannot be.
No one is neutrally angry. Oh, I'm very angry.
It's always with mental pain and mental displeasure.
Always.
Always with that, because when one is angry, then the mental feeling is always unpleasant.
It feels
It's burning,
bad.
and it's so it's never like a very pleasantly being angry, or like a very neutrally being angry.
No positive.
No,
Not possible.
because I was thinking about when you don't say anything and there's just inside
But it's feeling
it
very
can
bad.
be just like neutral, but it hurts.
You are burning yourself.
burning
Yeah.
yourself.
Every time anger, every time fire is present, it burns whatever it touches.
Mhm.
Fire
Mhm.
fire is hard to change its nature. Whatever we can say, because even anger feels like fire.
Mhm.
So whatever the fire touches, if you keep it there, it will burn it sooner or later. And every time we have gotten angry, we are burning ourselves. And you will see some qualities right now is coming very, very interesting.
Yes.
With this kind of example, I was thinking it can be the seed on the mind can be worse sometimes because you are just like thinking he's gonna do me harm me or whatever, and you're feeding it, and then when it actually happens, it might not be as strong or the reactions couldn't be as huge as you thought they would be.
It
Is
is
that
actually
possible?
built up. Yes.
Yes.
If one is building up, let's say for example, now we're talking about Abhidhamma. So let's put on microscopic glasses. Units of dosamūla citta, units of hatred-rooted consciousness, they arises and then it passes away immediately, and then another one arises, passes away immediately. According to our experience, when we say we are angry, it passes billions of them already. Billions. Otherwise, we won't even feel it, no? So, because we allowed all these billions to arise, that's why we feel angry. So, say for example, now I'm feeling angry, but I'm not saying something, so I have, let's say, a billion already, then I'm feeling. And then if I'm still continue to be angry, so there are trillions of them, and I decide to hit them. So, all of those planted seeds. So mine is of course it's strong, and but if it does not accumulate to that level, it won't hit it. So that's why if it develops until action, it's probably stronger than just a thought.
You might be
Because
referring
it's
to
more.
suffering. Yes, we
Yes,
suffer by
suffering.
ourselves, but anger is planting the seeds when we are talking, when we are doing, and when we are thinking. The nature, because when we are doing, the mind is also thinking. So you see, when we talk, we are planting mental seeds and word seeds. When we are saying something, oh, you chun 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 chun, we are thinking, we are saying, and we are doing. So one teacher once gave an example which is very nice. He said, if the energy is still small, it stays on here. But then if there is more, it comes, what is the closest? The tongue. And then we move here. And then if it is not enough, where it comes? The hand. And
Or
then
it
the
can
hand
kick.
goes, and if it is longer, then it goes to the longer to the everything. Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue because we still have a lot. Maybe we won't finish. So, any kind of irritation that they will think this mosquito is going to do me harm.
He's doing me harm. He will
Or
do
he
harm
will
to
do me
someone
harm.
that I love.
So, from this kind of.
He's not doing harm. Sorry, he's not doing harm to my enemy.
Oh yeah, and so from this to this, any kind, it's dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness. Okay, so we'll go a little bit faster now because of time. So patiga equals to dosa, meaning aversion. Literally, the meaning is to strike something. So when one is angry, it is like striking someone or striking one's own mind with anger.
Oh.
We can strike outside, but at the same time, we're also striking ourselves.
Our own mind.
So the character of dosa or aversion or hatred, it wants to destroy. It wants to strike. It wants to destroy. Also, there is another example from the ancient teachers. It says that anger is like a fire burning that upon which it itself depends on. The fire burns the wood, right? Without the wood, there is no fire. The fire depends on the wood, but it is burning itself. So when we are getting angry, we are burning our own mind and body, which we depend on, which we ourselves depend on, but we are burning it. So that's why the Buddha said, anger, aversion, dosa is can be considered to be temporary madness. So we're killing
Anger.
ourselves basically.
Anger consumes our mind. Anger consumes our body. A person who gets angry often gets old sooner. That is a fact, and it can even literally kill him. It can or get sick. Yeah, it will burn inside. So the nature of the fire is to consume whatever is holding. So it is, and some degree, the most stupid thing there is, because it wants to exist, but it's burning the thing that is holding him. So it will kill whatever holds. That is the nature of fire. It kills whatever is keeping him alive.
So
It
this
is amazing. It is
examples.
amazing, this example.
Okay,
It's like,
It's the same.
are we okay until here? Any questions? Everybody okay? Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, okay, so now we saw the two different aspects of hatred-rooted consciousness, dosamūla citta, mental feeling with mental displeasure, with anger, always with anger, there's no option. There is no anger consciousness, I mean dosa or hatred, rooted consciousness without hatred or without aversion or without anger is not possible. Otherwise it won't be in this family. And then prompted and unprompted. Oh, now before we go to prompted and unprompted, let's take a little look at domanassa, displeasure, and patigha, dosa, aversion that we just looked at. These two, they are actually not the same. Now, why is it not the same? How are they different? Domanassa, mental displeasure, in terms of ultimate reality, we saw in the first class, ultimate reality, it belongs to Vedana Cetasika. Vedana, mental feeling. Vedana. So it is a type of Cetasika, mental ingredient that is inside the group of Vedana, or feeling, one of the Vedana, in terms of ultimate reality. And in terms of ultimate reality, dosa, patigha is dosa, is another kind of Cetasika. It's an unwholesome Cetasika. Yes? Okay, so in terms of ultimate reality, they are not the same. One is feeling and another is pure aversion itself.
wanting to destroy.
Wanting to destroy is characteristic. So, Vedana and dosa, now this might get a little bit complicated, but I trust that you can understand. And if you don't, then just ask, okay? But so we're going into dosamūla citta. Say, for example, we already know that this is, this is a graphic presentation, because it does not happen like that, but it's graphic presentation of a unit of hatred-rooted consciousness. So we have the yellow, this consciousness, and all these are citasikas.
Mental ingredients.
Mental ingredients. So all these mental ingredients, here are the possibilities that can associate with hatred-rooted consciousness. So what are these views? These views are universal cetasikas. If you remember on Wednesday class that we have already saw, universal cetasikas, meaning cetasikas, mental ingredients that associate with any kinds of, all kinds of cittas, all kinds of consciousness.
Yeah.
So they are always there, whatever consciousness it may be, good or bad, kusala or akusala, or even resultant, vipaka, or even kriya, always they are there. So there are some O's, occasionals, sometimes they can be there, sometimes they cannot be, depending on the situation, depend on that kind of mind. And now because we are talking about unwholesome consciousness, so there are some akusala, universal, such as moha, delusion is an akusala, universal mental factor. So any kind of akusala, unwholesome consciousness will include delusion, moha, ignorance. So those ones. So there are different ones, and now we know it. We're going into details. And chapter 2 we will come into details with all those, how they, which are the ingredients and how they combine later in chapter 3. Okay, so there are these kinds, and then there are some akusala occasionals as well. So they are akusala, unwholesome, and sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not, depend on the situation. So there are these different combinations. And now, Vedana, it is a universal cetasika, so it belongs to one of these you guys. Yes? It
Us
is
guys?
universal. You guys, yes. So universal guys, universal. So and patigha dosa is one of the akusala occasional.
Okay.
It's another different cetasika, but they do arise together because it's in the same citta. Yes, remember the citta and all the cetasikas they accompany, they arise together and then they cease together. We saw that in the first class. Yes. Okay. So akusala occasional. Then we may say that why is it occasional? If it is a dosamūla citta, then it must be there. Yes, because it is with dosa. So it is grouped as akusala occasional because dosa, hatred or aversion does not appear in lobha-mūla citta, in greed-rooted consciousness. In greed-rooted consciousness, there is no aversion, but there is greed.
Okay.
And at the same time, now we're talking about dosa-mūla citta, greed-rooted, hatred-rooted consciousness, there is no greed because they are not compatible. We cannot want and don't want at the same time. Like either you want it, you pull, or either you push. You cannot pull and push at the same time. So that's why they are occasional in terms that they do not associate with other kinds of unwholesome consciousness. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Okay? Everybody okay? Yes? Okay.
Okay.
Yes, later on we will go into detail when we get into associations with citta and mental factors, consciousness and mental ingredients, cetasikas. Now, the only thing is that domanassa and dosa, mental displeasure and aversion, they are best friends.
So now people.
So they always arise together in the hatred-rooted consciousness. They are never separated, always together. So that's why in this category of hatred-rooted consciousness, dosamūla citta, there is not any citta that is with mental displeasure without aversion.
Anger.
Or
And vice
with
versa.
aversion without mental displeasure. It's not possible. They are twins. They always go together, these two. So it's patika vipayuta, dissociated with aversion, is not possible. It's not possible. Okay, so they always arise together. In experience, it is difficult to differentiate which one is domanassa and which one is dosa, like in our own experience, because they are always together. So it's hard to say that this is the feeling and this is the anger because they are together, but still in nature they are different because they are different types of cetasikas. Yeah. And
Mental ingredients.
yeah, mental ingredients. But also, it is not necessary to try to find out or try to separate it in our own experience because we know they are both there. When we get angry, both mental displeasure and both anger is there. Okay, until here? Fine. So, now we finish with these two. And now let's take a look. Why does hatred-ridden consciousness does not associate with wrong view? Remember, firstly, remember what is wrong view? Is thinking that doing bad is okay, there is no bad result. So we might say that if we are angry or if we are harming other people, we can also think that it's okay, there was no bad result. So it is possible, yes, we can think that way. That I can do bad, why not? But then why does not associate with this kind of mental hatred-rooted consciousness? Surely wrong view can motivate anger. But since we are looking at microscopic way, they do not happen in the same moment. Does it make sense? So that person, he might think that it's okay to do bad, I can shout at him, nothing is going to happen, there is no bad result. But while he's shouting at him, he's not thinking about it. Yes, so it does not happen in the same moment. Okay, let's look a little bit further. Now here we are going to keep this in your mind, and now we're going to move a little bit, a side note, and then we will come back, okay? So, and then in one moment, when we talk about moment, how long do you think a moment is? Like a second?
Very
Or
small.
like a blink of an eye?
If
Or
I'm
like
bored,
a snap or
very
a little
long.
snap of a finger? Or something like that, a moment, yes? Something like that?
Faster.
Okay, so the Buddha says that we think is a moment, 9 billions of consciousness passed away already. So what we think as a moment divided by 9 million is what we're talking about one moment.
Wow.
Eh?
So what we think is one moment divided by 9 billions time, that's the mind moment that we're talking about. Yes?
And those 9 billions are each one is a seed, like
No, not all.
No, not all. Only 7 from the 14 of the mental process. But
That's-
don't worry, we will arrive to the chapter number 4. Only 7 from the 17 units of a mental process are active. It's called jhavana. So all the other ones are functional, like the one we were saying
Not
before.
all. Vipaka
There are some vipaka, there are some fruits, there are some functional that is doing the job of the mind,
Okay.
and they are the ones that are planting seeds. Okay,
It's
time.
very interesting
Only 7.
actually, so we will
Very
go to there.
interesting.
But first we have to get all the ingredients first
Now-
before we can cook.
Now we're only learning what is tomato, what is knife,
Onion and-
what is onion, and what is fire. Later on, when we arrive to the chapter 4, our teachers used to tell us this. Now we will learn how to cook. We know what is fire, we know what is tomato, knife. Now let's start cooking. Oh, it
What
becomes
can associate
really,
with what and what
really
cannot.
interesting.
Okay, so this moment that we're talking about, tiny moment. So in a snap of a finger or in a blink of an eye, billions of these moments pass away. So we're talking about this moment. Okay, so in each moment, each mind moment, let's call this mind moment. Each mind moment, there can be a lot of rupa or matter can arise together. Say like the body cell, there can be many different cells or different things happening in the body at the same time.
As we are thinking right now,
Like a whole bunch of
Yeah.
cells and atoms. Yeah.
as we are thinking right now, there are many cells arising and passing away, many atoms and
Together.
arising and passing away, together with the mind. That's why the mental, the physical, our bodies and our mind are intrinsically connected.
They are related.
They are related. So the body is doing its job and the mind is doing the job at the same time. So whenever the mind arises, some cells and atoms are arising and passing away at the same time. And however we think, in the way we think, we feel. If I'm thinking negative, I feel the body heavy, tense, hot, because the mind is changing the quality of the matter of this body.
Maybe it's generating.
It's generating this kind of
Changing.
atoms, and it's generating. That's why I feel hot whenever I'm angry, and whenever there is generosity or goodness, it feels cool because the mind is generating cool kind of molecules in the body. That's why we feel pleasant or unpleasant at the physical level.
Okay, so let's go ahead. In one moment, mind moment, there can be many rupas, many material qualities, material can arise. But for mind, say this is a timeline, they arise one by one.
These are the javanas over there.
They arise one by one. When this one arises and it passes away, if it does not pass away, the other one cannot arise. So there cannot be two minds in the same moment. This arises, this passes away, another arises, passes away, another.
Units of mind.
Yes.
Do they have the same duration? Like
Direction?
Duration.
Yes.
Yes.
So only one mind moment is, the Buddha taught, one mind moment is subdivided into 3 sub-moments. Arising moment, existing moment, and passing away moment.
Okay. On and off.
On and off, yeah.
Yeah,
On,
so
staying,
arise, stay, pass away, arise, stay, pass away, arise, stay, pass away. But the main point here, what I want to say is they arise one after the other. But in such a rapid manner that it is a link. It's a process. So it never stops until we attain the final liberation, parinirvana. But it arises and then it passes away. What I want to say main point is that it never has two cittas in the same moment.
The mind is only one chair, and only one ingredient can be seated at once.
No, one ingredient, one
One chitta can be there. Then this one passes away, then
Yes,
another
and
chitta can come. Then this one goes away, another mental unit can come, and the one that is seated can be hot or can be cool, can be good or can be bad. But we cannot be angry and happy at the same time. So one stays. The only thing is makes it so rapidly that we mistake that I'm feeling many things at the same time, but actually the mind is doing only one ingredient, only one chair. So one needs to go, and then the other comes.
Yeah, like the movie, we take like millions of thousands of pictures. When we put them together, this looks like it's moving.
Reality.
But actually, it's only one by one. It's one by one. The mind is also like that. It's one by one. So here, the main point is that there is no two minds, no two consciousness arising at the same moment. Only one by one. So now let's get back to this. That's why now I think we can understand that why there anger. Hatred-rooted consciousness does not associate with wrong view because they are in different moments. Their objects is different. Let's take a little bit more look. You remember we said that citta consciousness must have an object that matches its quality, right? Remember? Okay. So DT, wrong view. What is this object? It's an idea, no? It's a view, no? Because it's wrong view, no? So obviously it's a view that is its object. What it is doing is that it is holding on to the view. Yes, it's holding on to the view. Now let's take a look of aversion, anger. Say for example, what could be his object? Well, what is he angry about at the moment? Maybe his mother. Could be. And what he wants to do now is he wants to destroy. So he's not holding on to. And then the object is different, and character is also different. One is holding on to an idea, and other one is want to destroy everything. No, he doesn't want to hold anything. And his object maybe a concept, or maybe something that doesn't make him happy or whatever. And this one is a view. Like I think this is the correct way. I think this is like an idea. So they are very different in this way. So that's why they are not compatible in the same citta. This grasping, holding, is what kind of mind? Loba is greed-rooted consciousness. That's why in greed-rooted consciousness it can associate with wrong view or without wrong view. But in hatred-rooted consciousness, dosa, it does not associate it with wrong view because it's not holding. They can happen. It can motivate. It surely can motivate it, but in different moments, different minds.
This one is pushing, it doesn't like, and the other
It's
one is
right.
holding. So their nature is different. The other one wants to hold and the other one wants to push. This one push, the other one is desire, wants the idea, attachment to our own ideas, wrong ideas.
Okay, what's next? Let's see. Okay, we have 20 minutes. I'll go a little bit more. So prompted and unprompted is the last aspect. Sorry. So that's why it does not associate with wrong view, and it only associate with anger and aversion. Then now
Everybody okay? Everybody okay? Let's breathe in. Let's breathe out. Let's breathe in. Let's breathe out. Here we go. The last stretch. Almost arriving, my dear friend.
Okay, can you still get a little bit more information, or you're full
Yes.
already? Yes? Yes? Okay.
Little bit.
Just very little bit.
Yeah.
Prompted and unprompted is easy. Now we already saw this last week. So if this person, he decided to do harm with hatred or with anger, and it is his own idea spontaneously, he doesn't even have a second thought about it, and nobody tells him to do so. Well, what is it called?
Unprompted.
Unprompted. Nobody prompted him, no? So
Uninvited.
unprompted consciousness. Okay, so if the same guy, he does that because somebody told him, or if somebody showed him an example, or if he think, should I? Yes, I will do it. So this is called prompted. Prompted. Yes? Okay, so prompted and unprompted is quite easy. Now we finished the three aspects of the dosamūla citta, and so now we are going into the kinds of dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness, just like lobha. How many do you think are there?
12 or 2?
2. I say 2.
Okay, let's see. There are only two kinds of dosamūla citta, only two kinds of hatred-rooted consciousness, and no way. They say with all those aspects, all those manifestations, only two? Yes, only two. Only two. Oh, imagine all the anger, all the war, all the bad things,
All the killing.
in this world that has ever happened and will ever happen, only associated with these two kinds of dosamūla cittas. Only two. Although they are very little in numbers, they're super powerful. So, two kinds of hatred-rooted consciousness. When we first saw that there is only two kinds of
What?
Really?
I have gotten
Two?
angry for so much and
And
you
there's only
already-
two. So actually, they are, I think, one of the most popular cittas. And they always arise in different manifestations.
right.
Only two guys, but only they always
Top,
arise.
from the top 10, the one top,
Most popular
top
ones.
2.
Okay, so now let's see what are these two. According to their aspects, they are different. The first one, mental associated with mental pain, mental displeasure, associated with aversion. And we already said that it's not possible to not associate with
Anger.
so it's always with anger. So the only difference is either it is prompted or it is unprompted. Quite straightforward, this hatred-rooted consciousness. Always with mental pain, mental unpleasantness, always with aversion, with anger. The only difference is
It's the
whether
simplest,
prompted or
simplest
unprompted.
and the grossest. The lowest that a human mind can arrive is anger. Desire, although makes us bad and do bad to others, is above it. It has more complex. It has more tricks. And then above it is ignorance, and then we have the good ones: non-ignorance, non-hatred, non-aversion, or non-desire. So from the lowest is anger, and if we happen to die angry before dying, we left our mind before in this life in the lowest position, so it will enter in the next life. Whatever comes later, it will come in the lowest position because we left it. That's why our teachers remind us, be very careful not to die with anger. Do whatever you will, but anger is the heaviest, and we can experience in our body from all the emotions. Desire feels like, even sometimes feels like good. When we desire something, we feel good, but the ones that makes us suffer immediately is anger. It is the lowest, the cheapest, and the one that the teachers are the most afraid for any human mind to leave this world with it, because it will just continue with that heaviness. They say something that is, if I throw butter and stones into the river, what will the stones will do? The stones will go down because they are heavier of water, and the butter will go to the surface because the butter is lighter than water. So in the same way, our mental states, whenever we finish this life, if it was on the heaviest, it will go down, unavoidably. If we die, remember, this is very important and very dangerous. Sadness is also anger. So when someone dies sad, or fear, when someone is afraid before dying, or sad because he's dying, or living whatever he's living, he's dying with anger. He's dying with a form of aversion. So he's keeping his mind. And we will say, yes, maybe I don't die angry, but I may die sad, or I may die fearful. So that's why our teachers tell us, please cultivate yourself, because this thing will bring the mind down unavoidably. We need to practice now, as we are alive and still flexible from the mind, to know how to bring the mind to the good neighborhood of the mind, so it doesn't go down, bring us down, and make our relations with our family and friends polluted.
And there is one point that is quite important, is that in the last moment, last mental process before we die, the death process, this process is very weak because we're dying. No? This process is weaker than all other process, the usual process. So when we are so weak, then it is most probably very difficult that we will control that what's going to happen. Like if we're going to, I'm going to be with wisdom, I'm going to be angry or whatever. So what usually happens in those moments is what we usually practice the most in our lives, that are most likely to happen, because the mind is very used to that, so it goes to that very easily.
Automatic.
So if all our life we have been angry all the time, and how can we expect the last moment that we will be very peaceful without anger? That's almost impossible. And if we practice all our lives generosity, being good, being kind, and in the last moment, then it is less possibility that we will happen anger in those moments. So the last moment does not only depend on the last moment, so don't wait until the last moment to practice. Practice now, and when the last moment comes, it will arise whatever we practice the most.
I hope I'm dying, let's be very nice.
Okay, so when we're dying, we cannot practice almost, cannot, because
the mind is too weak. It's too weak, the mind. So
Okay.
weak that it dies. So weak that it dies.
Yes, so it is daily practice that what we cultivate more. Okay, so now, like last week, let's take a little bit look at Pali terms. Accompanied by displeasure is called domanassa sahagata. Now, would you like to repeat?
Domanassa sahagata.
Great. Okay, and associated with aversion and anger is called Patiga Sampayuta. Patiga Sampayuta. Patiga Sampayuta. Then unprompted or prompted. Unprompted is called asankarika.
Sasankarika.
And prompted is called sasankarika. Okay, so the two kinds of dosamūla citta, they are called in Pali. The first one, domanassa, let's go together.
Domanassa
sagata,
Patiga Sampayuta, asankarika. Not invited.
This is the first kind of hatred-rooted
By
consciousness
ourselves.
associated with painful mental feeling, with anger, aversion, and unprompted. And the next one, the second type, domanassa sagata, patiga sampayuta, sasankarika. So that one is with mental pain, with aversion, and prompted. Okay, so I think we finished a little bit earlier than I expected. So just like last time, in our daily life, when and how does this kind of dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness, arise in me? Let's take a few minutes now to think about it and reflect on ourselves. How does it arise? When does it arise? Does it even arise?
No.
Never.
No. ¿Cómo?
When does these two kind of consciousness arise? Getting angry, invited or uninvited?
Try to think of or reflect on some situations that can be subtle, or some that we might not even consider that it was anger, or some that was gross, that obviously they were anger.
So, were there some of this consciousness arising in our life?
Yes.
Yes. Were they pleasant? Any of them? So we can say that the mental sensation of it is totally unpleasant. Domanasa. The mind is crushed. It has mental pain. The next one, did it have anger in it? The ingredient aversion. Was there aversion from small to big? Definitely it was. Which one there was more? Somebody invited us to get angry, or naturally we got angry by ourselves? Which one was there more?
Naturally, we drive ourselves.
Huh? Unprompted, no? The one. So we know that it exists. Let's do one experiment. Right now, my dear family, we remember for sure, maybe, most probably, situations in our past that we got angry. If right now we don't stop, we don't turn off the candle, we light up the candle just by remembering, oh, I got angry because of this story, he or she told me that, they did or didn't do this thing. Right now the story is fresh in our mind. If we don't blow up right now the match, the candle, it might continue when we go out. So now let's practice something that is very useful. Imagine that the mind holds things, now has the story that you just remember. Imagine that you do this with the story. Just drop it. Stop it right now. Let's try. Whatever story arises, if we remember something and we really got angry, the mind may continue to follow because of attachment. Attachment to what? Attachment to myself. He treated me bad. She did me wrong. Whatever. So let's try right now. Forget it. We went to the past. Hold like if the mind has a hand and just do this. 1. Ready? You have the story in your mind. Hold like a muscle. 1, 2, 3. Flop. Let's try 2 more times. If there is a little trace, we hold it.
At the
I
same
know.
time, try to relax the body.
Relax the body and release the story. The story is the problem. If you continue with the story, it will hurt us. It will hurt you, definitely. 1, 2, 3, and the mind releases the hand of the mind, and we smile a little bit and let it be. Let it in the past. If the mind for some reason bring it again, just open the hand again. The mind will go and grasp it again. Open the hand as many times it is needed. This skill, my dear family, if we are able to manage it and to remember it, it can save us from a lot of useless and meaningless suffering by ourselves, in our bed, before sleeping, or in the morning, or any time in the day. Drop it, as our teacher says. Drop the story. Drop the story. No cause, no effect. That story is the cause for the anger to arise. Drop the story. Don't hold it. And as Seattle Tajenia said, if you really love yourself, don't let the mind suffer. So release, and with that, Sharon, I think you.
So that's all for today. Let's do a quick summary, like every week, to see what we saw today. So we're talking about akusala citta, unwholesome consciousness, especially dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness today. So what we saw was dosamūla citta, hatred-rooted consciousness, only associated with what? Feeling. What feeling?
Displeasure.
Domanasa, unpleasant mental feeling, and
Mental pain.
unpleasant mental feeling only associated with akusala, unwholesome. Yes, there is never wholesome. Then we saw that anger has all these different kinds of manifestation. They are all type of dosa, aversion itself. We also saw that the reason why dosa arise is because when we want something we don't get it, then the mind gets angry, or when the mind thinks that someone has done or will do or is doing something bad to me or to my family, or he's doing good to my enemy,
Or to my thing.
or to anything that I consider mine, or something, or my enemy. If I think he's doing bad to me or mine and doing good to somebody I don't like, then the mind can reasonably or unreasonably get angry.
What if the mind was not there? There is nothing mine. Everything is borrowed.
M-I-N-E.
Even mind. Yeah, mind. So if there is no mind, actually the Buddha, later we will look at it, the Buddha pointed that the one who makes the problem is the mind. Everything is borrowed. The house that we live on is borrowed for 8 decades, or 9 decades if we wish. The family we have is borrowed because we will be separated unavoidably. So if we start treating with the mind, a lot of the causes for that one thing will start decreasing. There are many ways to attack the enemy. The enemy is whatever makes us suffer. We all want to be happy. We can start attacking from different flanks, different sides, and just by contemplating what is happening.
And the last aspect was prompted and unprompted. Quite easy. Yes.
Regarding the prompted and unprompted, if oneself could also prompt,
Yes.
shouldn't be all
Prompted.
like, because we make a decision every time we get angry at something.
Not all the time, because
Sometimes
the prompted is like yes, it's so fast that we already got angry that immediately. When somebody says something I don't like, immediately the mind gets angry. That is unprompted. But say, for example, in the same situation, somebody said something, then I was
Okay.
yeah, or in a moment, or
There is hesitation?
with hesitation, or if somebody, like, I was not very angry at the moment, let's say, then my friend said, he said like that, don't you see it? And, oh yes, really, yeah, like he shouldn't, then I get angry. I was not angry in the beginning, but because my friend said, don't you see that he's saying this to you? I said, oh yes, isn't it? Like, I should get angry like that also.
But
It's prompted.
inside we can say that lacking awareness. In the other one, you kind of had the awareness, couldn't hold it, so you decide to do it.
Because Santi does not associate.
But I just yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just like a tiny hesitation, that's it.
Okay.
The point is, like, when it happens automatically, the mind just immediately says the word, which generally happens that way, or when the mind kind of chooses to do so. Yeah, awareness was not. Otherwise, it would be on the other. Awareness was not.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Let's say, for example, terrible example. Like if a person, he decided to kill something, then he was so angry that he killed it immediately. That's unprompted. But if he wanted to kill something and he started designing how he should do it, then he's making a plan. And so he is prompted in that case because he has been thinking about it like for some time before he does it.
We will ask Wednesday our teacher what he thinks. How can we define this better? So next Sunday we will have some.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so 2 kinds of dosamūla citta. That's all what we saw today. And that's all for today. Well, perfect. 10:59. So just as a last reminder, because somebody came later and maybe haven't seen this slide, so we have to agree that we will start at 9 and we will finish at 11 or a little bit earlier. So for that, please come 10 minutes earlier, 8:50. And please remember, you are Japanese.
Otsukaresama.
And so thank you very much, everybody. Then next
You're
week
welcome.
we will continue with mohamula citta.
Ignorance rooted consciousness. Sadhu. Thank you very much, Arana, for all this, and we thank and connect with our teachers and the teacher of all our teachers, the Buddha. We thank and appreciate for all this information to have passed throughout the generations, 2,600 years. If there was no one 50 years ago explaining this to someone else, we might have not have it today. We appreciate very much the effort that we are all putting, and we know that it requires energy, it requires attention, time. So if we decided to be here instead of somewhere else where we will just entertain the senses, that is already a very good seed that we are planting, and we are very sure that all our teachers are very happy because of the seeds we are together planting. So thank you very much for allowing us, giving us also this opportunity to be exploring this today. So we put our intention that all these good seeds fall into the right soil, fruitful soil, very humid. So eventually, when we start making the whole picture together, it gives a lot of fruits in our daily life for our children, for our parents, for our family, all the people who enters in contact, for our benefit, and the most profound one, the one, freedom from suffering. So with that intention in mind, we repeat, Ida no punyam, nibbana sam, vacheyo hotu. Ida no punyam, nibbana sam, vacheyo hotu. Ida no punyam, nibbana sam, vacheyo hotu. With the same intention of goodness, now we spread it to the people around us. May these fruits be beneficial to our family, to our co-workers and friends, people we know, people we don't know, especially those who suffer much more than us. There are millions and millions. And when we know someone that we know is having mental problem or physical problem, we can remember them at this moment. May they be benefited by all these fruits. And we repeat, Idano punyam, sabasatanam, pajimam. Idano punyam, sabasatanam, pajimam. Idano punyam, sabasatanam, pajimam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives,
Awesome.
the sun and the moon and all virtuous leaders of the world, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord, the Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Welcome Wednesday, welcome Sunday. We see you around. Have a nice week and good practice.